First of all, good evening lecturer and classmate. We are from group 8 and today we will be cover unit 8 teaching and learning writing and my name is Kontai Madi and I will be the first presenter. And here is our contents. First of all, we will be going to talk about introductions and next the characteristic of written language, a writer view and micro skill for writing and type of classroom writing performance and last but not least is conclusions. And now let's begin with the introduction. So, how is writing like swimming? According to the psycholinguist Eric Lenneberg, he noted that while humans universally learn to walk and talk, swimming and writing are culturally specific skills that require instructions. So, just as there are writing level, different type of level of swimming ability from the non-swimmers to excellent swimmer. Of course, the same apply to writing, and not everyone excels at writing even in their native language. And second language learners also struggle with writing in English despite being able to speak it. And now we're going to talk about the characteristic of written language, right review. First is the permanence. So when a piece of writing is finalized and shared, the writer loses the ability to revise or clarify. Maybe this can be create um, intimidations for students um, because it sometimes feel like it's similar to turning in a math test with error that cannot be fixed. So, for example, of the permanent is that a student might worry that if they make mistake in the final projects, those mistakes will be there for everyone to see. So maybe the teacher can help the students by letting the student revise and improve their draft before they submitting the final projects, and this can help students like have more confidence. And the second one is production time. So when the writers have sufficient or enough time, they can develop skill and produce a quality work. However, it can be seen that in many education setting or school, they limit the time for writing, especially during the tests or examinations. For instance, a student have only like 30 minutes to write an essay, which can make their writing not as good. So maybe a teacher can help a students manage this time limit while also allow them to plan and draft their writing as well. And the third one is distance. So maybe this means that anticipating the audience is a big challenge for writers, and it requires cognitive empathy. It means that understanding of how others think and feel. Therefore, it allows writers to see their work from the audience point of view. An example of this is a student. So a student writing a research paper must think about whether their reader are familiar with the topic and how using difficult words might confuse them. So a writer needs to consider what their audience already know, their cultural background, and how their words of choices will be understood. And next is the orthography. So written communication rely on a limited set of symbols such as letters to express their idea. And for students who cannot read or write in their native language, teaching should begin with the basic skill of reading and writing. Even students who can read and write might actually struggle if their first language uses a different way of writing. So in such cases, they need to learn how to adapt to an alphabetic system, which is the system that uses letters to form words. And now let's move on to the complexity. So writers need to eliminate the redundancy, combine sentences effectively, and create a variety of sentence structure. An example of this is so instead of just writing, I love reading books is one of my favorite activity. A writer can actually say, I love reading books, which is one of my favorite activity. Therefore, teaching effective sentence structure is important as it can enhance clarity, improve the flow of ideas, as well as engage the reader. And next is the vocabulary. So it can be seen that the demands for vocabulary in writings are greater compared to speaking. So a writer can use a variety of words to enhance their work. So to convey a subtle differences and avoid repetitions, they often choose a specific synonyms. So for instance, instead of repeatedly using the word happy, a writer might select words like joyful, content, elated, or pleased to express varying degree of happiness. So encouraging vocabulary expansion through reading is also essential as it allows writers with the diverse language needed to express their idea effectively. And last but not least is the formality. So adhering to the conventions of different writing forms is essential, whether it's filling out a questionnaire or composing an essay. So English as a second language in short ESL students often find academic writings particularly challenging due to the complexity convention required for example the descriptions, explaining, comparing, contrasting, and so on. So in cases like when writing a research paper involves a formal tones, proper citations, and a structured arguments, this can be quite overwhelming for someone new to academic conventions. Therefore, the ESL students need clear instructions on different writing forms to make writing easier and help them to become a better writers. And that is all for my part. And the next presenter is going to be Sika.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Marty, for your insightful explanation. And good evening, teacher, and hello, everyone. I'm Sika, and we will be moving to our next part, which is micro skills for writing. Right. So in this part, we will be learning about specific skills that help us improve our writing by making it better, effective, accurate, and impactful. So let's dive deeper on each skill on how does it work on helping us improve our writing, right? So the first one we have produced graphemes and also graphic patterns of English. So what does it mean by that? So this refers to the ability to write letters, words, and spellings correctly. And the also graphic patterns include spelling rules and conventions in English. So by developing this skill, ensure the clarity and correctness in our writing even better. So for instance, like knowing how to spell the word correctly or like using proper capitalization and using correct homophones or synonym like also reflects like mastery of orthographic patterns in our writing as well. And the second one we have produced writing at an efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. So this skills involves writing quickly and fluently enough to meet our purpose. Like for instance, like we are like writing in for a test. For a test would require you to manage on your speed well so that you can catch up and finish the test on time. And that's what I mean by that, right? So, and next we have produced an acceptable core of words and use appropriate words or the patterns. So it means that using a suitable vocabulary range and arranging words in a grammatical correct order to convey your message clearly so that the reader or like they can clearly get your meaning that you convey. And for example, like using correct adjective order like blue pen instead of pen blue, like the correct of using adjective or choosing the right adjective to describe something in particular context is significant for your writing. So next we have use acceptable grammatical systems, patterns, and rules. So this skill involves following English grammar rules such as like tense, consistency, subject-verb agreement, and proper sentence structure, right? So and these rules, like mastering in these rules, are essential for effective communication. For example, like she goes to school instead of she go to school, like we have to follow the grammar rule to have a grammatical correct, and that would be essential part in our writing. So next we have express a particular meaning in different grammatical forms. So being able to convey the same meaning using various grammatical structures demonstrates flexibility in writing, right? So this skill is useful for emphasizing different aspects of a sentence or adapting to different contexts. Like for example, I have a sentence of convey the meaning of I love you. So I love you, or you are who I love, or you are loved by me. And these sentences are all given the same meaning in different kind of grammatical forms, and that is mean by a like a particular meaning in different grammatical forms. So next we have used cohesive device in written discourse. So cohesive device are words or phrases that link sentence and ideas together. This could help the reader to be able to understand the context between sentence to sentence, like paragraph to paragraph, in the context that the writer wants to convey to the reader. Like for example, those linking words include in addition, however, therefore, and so on. And next we have use a rhetorical forms and conventions of written discourse. So this will involve following the typical structures and rules of different types of writing, such as essays, reports, narrative, or letters. So in this part, it means that we have to know what we are writing, like what type of writing we are writing, right? So, like for example, like essay or report, we have to follow the format of each kind to have convey our meanings through our text as well, and that could help our writing a lot. And next, we have appropriately accomplished the communicative functions of written text. So, according to text, according to form of and purpose. So, this refers to tailoring your writing to achieve its purpose, whether to inform, persuade, or entertain. Right. So when, for example, like when writing a persuasive essay, use logical argument and support evidence to convince the reader. And that is how you use a proper type of um, writing to convey your meaning through your text. Next, we have convey links and connection between events and communicate relationships. So this skill involves clearly showing the relationship between ideas, events, or like information in your writing. It helps readers understand cause and effect or sequence. For example, like because it rained all night, the streets were flooded in the morning, right? So these two clauses are connected to each other, which make the reader know better about the context of the sentence of your writing, right? So, and next we have distinguish between literal and implied meaning. This involves understanding and using both implicit and explicit meanings in our writing. Literal meaning is direct, while implied meaning requires interpretation or context. So, for example, like the literal meaning, like he is not coming to party, and we can imply to that sentence like don't expect to see him tonight in the party, right? So this is what literal and implied meaning means. And next, we have correctly convey culturally a specific reference in the context of the written text. So this skill emphasize using cultural reference accurately and appropriately, ensuring the audience understands the context and meaning. Right. So referring, for example, like referring to Thanksgiving in an American context or Diwali in an Indian context requires understanding their cultural significance. Right. So and next, we have the last but not least, the last skills of micro skill for writing is develop and use battery of writing strategies. So these skills refers to employing various strategies to improve writing, from planning and drafting to revising and editing. It includes assessing the audience need using like pre-writing techniques in recuperate feedback. For example, like before writing an essay or like brainstorm ideas using a mind map would be a necessary and write a first draft without worrying about perfection, then revise it back later on, and that could like improve your writing when you do the final draft of your writing as well. And that is all for my part. And the next, my member will be continued from me. Thank you.
Good evening, lecturers, and hello, beloved classmates. Moving on to the third skill of teaching and learning skills, we will focus on the type of classroom writing performance. So, in this skill, writing in the classroom can take many forms, but it is typically categorized into five major types of performance. So, first and foremost, we have imitative or writing down, which focuses on learning the orthography codes of English like spelling, punctuations, something like that, including the activities such as writing down letters, words, and simple sentences. And another one, the dictation task that used to test the student ability to reproduce accurate written, which may also test higher order cognitive skills beyond simple copying. And for the goal itself is to reinforce foundational writing skill and the structure of the English writing process. Moving on to the second type of writing is intensive or controlled writing. This type of writing serves as a tool of reinforcing grammatical structures and also learning sentence patterns. And as for their characteristic, control tasks like rewriting sentences in different tenses, like changing present tenses verb to like the present tense to the past tenses. And for the next one, guided writing. Guided writing prompts is to develop writing skills in a structured way. For example, teacher may ask questions about about a video or story, prompting students to write specific answers, which have guide students to write within set parameters. So, for example, teacher may ask where does the story take place or describe the principle of the character. And moving on to the third type of teaching teaching writing skill in the classroom, we have the self-writing. In this type, writing intended primarily for the writer's own use. For themselves, not for an external audience. So the self-writing also divided into patterns, which are note-taking and diary or journal. So the note-takings, which capturing key points during lectures or later recalls, meaning that the student write key points from the lectures to aid their future recalls within for their reviewing the lessons before the quiz. So, and this also can include quick notes or a quick jotting on the piece of the paper. And for the diary or journal, it is used for the personal reflections, sometimes shared with teachers, including diary or dialogue journals, where students recall personal thought, feeling, or reactions on something they have done. And for the purpose of this writing is to encourage self-reflections, personal growth, and better understanding of concepts for their personal understanding. So that's it for my part. I will pass the fourth and the fifth type of teaching writing in the classroom to Bong Pirong.
Yes, thank you, Athena. Now let's continue with the type of classroom writing performance. Display writing. Display writing includes the short answer exercise, essay examinations, and research report. And for the academic skill, the writer have to have a deep understanding of the techniques of display writing. Real writing. We have three here: academics, vocational or technical, and personal. For academics, this approach is to convey the information to each other. For content-based instructions, it encourages the student to exchange useful information, and this writing is to use the written words. Group problem-solving tasks. It's mostly related to the current issue or the relevant topics that the writer have to writing to solve the problem that has occurred. P-editing works. P-editing works, it provides the rewriting opportunity. In a certain sense, the English for specific purpose and the English for academic purpose course, the student may exchange news information with each other and with the instructor. Vocational or technical. It includes the variety of real writings. This writing is the writer have to improve their writing skill in their occupations. For example, after having improved, the writer can write a letters, guidance in their some operations, and filling the form. Personal. Personal, it includes the diary, letter, postcard, notes, personal message, and another informal writing. Now let's move to the conclusions. As you know that the writing is the productive skill, so the writer have to focus the accuracy over fluency. It's meaning that the writer have to use the appropriate word pattern, such as vocabulary, structure, connector, something like that. Correction and revision. The writer always checks some mistake before going to the final products. After they finish the first draft, they check mistake, they have first editions or second edition before going to the final products. Another point is competition with time limitations. It refers to the writer have to finish their writing before the times. For example, for in the examination, the writer have to finish the writing skill before the time is up. The presentation come to the end. So I, the representative of Group 8, would like to thank you, teachers, and everyone for your today's, and thank you for your paying attention. Thank you.